I don't know if you like growing things. It's never been particularly one of my gifts, despite occasional attempts. In our house, my partner Sam grows things very well, and I chop things down, usually not the same things. It works as a kind of collaboration. Jesus' words in the Gospel today give us an image of growing things. As you probably know, grapevines need something to grow up and to support them. They cannot support themselves. Like runner beans and peas and other climbing plants, with nothing to grow up, they would grow on the ground, and their fruit would probably rot or be eaten by pests. Vines need branches so they can grow and bear fruit. Branches are pretty unexciting without the vines growing up them. The image Jesus gives us is tender. He is the vine. His Father is the vine grower. The one who takes care of the vines makes sure they are pruned and watered and that they can bear the best fruit possible. This text often gets preached on in quite a judgmental way. God is going to cut off all the bad bits. But to me, pruning is a gentle and a caring image. It is God nurturing the vine to bring out the best from it, and so that it will grow and flourish more. The love between the Father and Jesus is that tender and caring love. It's no accident that the first recipient of pruning in this text is Jesus himself. The Father is not in judgment over Jesus. The Father wills his flourishing. Jesus says, "I am the vine, you are the branches." This text is part of what we call the farewell discourses in John's Gospel, where Jesus is telling his disciples things they need to do when he is no longer with them. In the context of the early church community for which John was writing the Gospel, it speaks of the enduring message that they are sharing and passing on. And so I think we can fairly hear the "you" in what Jesus says as encompassing all who seek to follow Jesus. I am the vine, you are the branches. We remember that the branches on their own without the vine are pretty boring and don't do very much. But similarly, the vine on its own without the branches cannot flourish, and its fruit will probably be lost if it ever develops. We need Jesus is a pretty uncontroversial thing to say in a sermon. That Jesus needs us in order to bear fruit is perhaps a more challenging thought. Without him, we can do nothing. Without us, he can do nothing. The vine and the branches paints for me a picture of partnership with God. God is at work and calls us to join in. We are each a unique and indispensable part of God's work. We are called to be collaborators in the world's salvation, in making the world whole. That fruit is something that we produce together, cared for and nurtured by God. Today, much of the church keeps Vocations Sunday, in which we're each called to reflect on what our part in that great work that we share with God is. What part are we called to play? Some callings are for a lifetime. Some callings are for a short period. Some callings are things we find easy. Some are immensely challenging. But I do believe that God calls each of us to participate in God's gracious work in this world. I wonder what God might be calling you to do. If you're wanting to think about that, the retreat in daily life that's coming up would be one great opportunity, and SCM have a fab resource out called Called to Be, to help students think about vocations. Like the vine, God's will for us is to grow and flourish, not at the expense of one another but with all our neighbours, not individually but together. Our caring, nurturing, loving God guides us and prunes us that we may bear fruit, that we may flourish, that we and all the world might be whole. Amen.